What's up, everybody? I am back with part two of this drawing here. I was going to get into shading from what I recall from the last video. So we're going to continue off what I was talking about with shading. Shading is a two-way street of just what you can do with it. You can either go simplistic or you can go complex. It all pretty much depends on your skill as an artist or what you want to do with the shading. We could go crazy and try and just go hyper realistic if we want. We can go painterly if we want. But based on this drawing, I have a style of shading that I want to go with, and I'm going to stick to that regimen of how I shade. Depending on how I progress through this, I could change it at any time. But I feel like this will be the simplest way for me to show you just how I shade, though I know your models vary depending on what artist you're looking at and what type of character design or whatever you're doing with it. I usually kind of go with more of a comic, cartoony kind of look. And then with the shading, it's just depends on what my mood is with the shading, whether I'm trying to go a little bit more, add a little bit more depth, but have it flat, or just have like absolute shades where it's like a cartoon with just shades and you can see the shades, but there's no blends to it. But for this, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to blend some of the shading and you'll just see how I do things, which is a little different than most, but I'm trying to, at the same time, figure out what I'm going to do with this. But I think I'm going to go with this style that I know I've been working on for a while, and it's good practice for me. And it keeps me from doing just like the regular shades and just using my lasso tool to shade everything and then dropping opacity and stuff like that. So enough talking. I'm just going to get started with this. It just depends on how you're doing it. For what I'm going to do, I'm going to just have another layer. I usually have multiple shade layers. I usually have like 2 or 3, just depending on my mood here. We'll see if I stick it to. I'm just looking at what I can do from this. So what I want to do here is I want to try and not use black, or if I want to use a black shade, it has to be kind of whimsical, but I think I'm going to try and stay away from the black shade. Well, let's just see how the black shade looks. There's always trial and error with art, and we can kind of do that. So what I like to do is I like to use my watercolor, and I like to use an opaque watercolor tool. And what I'll do sometimes when I do it, I will go to my layers here, and I usually will try and do like overlay or black or backlight or something like that, just so I can get a feel of what the shade might look like. And when it's on top, at least it gives me a feel of like what it might look from there. And I can always make adjustments or change it. And it allows me to kind of go thin with it too. So I can kind of see what it might look like if I'm really liking the shade a little bit. And I can always fix it by going back and blending, which is what I love about this tool, which I can always do too. And shading is always just about understanding how lighting works. So if I want to shade this character, I'm kind of shading with the light, knowing that it's coming kind of in this weird angle here. So I know I'm going to kind of keep some corners darker than usual and kind of take advantage of that dark usage there. And I can always kind of lighten it or change it. I'm kind of liking this black with it because at least it looks good on the overlay. And I can kind of use it on the clothes too. But like, this is just something I can do to really show a sense of like difference in color, because light's kind of bouncing off everywhere like that. So we can kind of go crazy with this a little bit. And we can kind of just make adjustments as we go. And I can always make small fixes, quick fixes, whatever you want. Because it's not going to be perfect. It's one of those things where I know I'm going to be fixing things as I'm shading. And this is a different way of doing it because it's more of like me kind of going painterly with it. and I'm kind of just having a like fun with it. So I can kind of do this if I want, kind of keep the reflex going. Just know the light's kind of coming through this way. And then all I have to do here, so I can kind of keep it light down there. Now to kind of keep it darker on that end. So something like that. And you already see it that it's already having this level of like difference already, if you can kind of see it. I'm going to zoom it in a little bit, but you can kind of see there's a little bit of difference with the lighting now here. And what I can do from this point on is like, I can just brighten it up if I feel like it. I'm just going to get like a soft eraser tool and kind of just lightly erase portions of it. So then at least it kind of gets this blend nature to it. Just depending on how I want it to look. This is just coming from my painting background that I like when I was painting for a while. I'm kind of just applying that same harshness of like cast shadows and core shadows and stuff like that. And you're kind of knowing that you have to like blend it. So then at least it doesn't look so harsh. Because sometimes with shading is that some people shade stuff and they don't take care of the blending. They just kind of just get to it like, all right, it's shaded, and it's like, no, you kind of have to blend it up a little bit because it's progressive, you know, it's a progressive shade change. It's not a oh dark, immediate dark. It happens when it's immediate dark, but that's where like you think of your core shadows and how your lights transition and stuff like that. So like this, I can actually brighten it up a little bit. A little too dark. And then I can kind of go back here. I have one or two options. I can kind of add like a little hint of like gradient here, like a little soft change. And then kind of just let it get darker if I want, like that. See, and it adds just a little bit of dimension to it. Just a little bit. It's not enough to like be like, oh wow, it's hyper realistic, but it's enough to kind of give you that feel of depth without it like being like too taxing or you're coloring too much or using 27 overlays, which happens sometimes. And you can kind of just kind of like read like if you understand light to like some degree, it's just doing that and making sure that you kind of keep it presentable in that fashion without it being like too taxing on yourself and on your colors. And look at that, like it's already kind of having this level of depth. And we're just kind of just keeping it simple. And I can always drop the opacity, like see how it looks, and then boom, I can always drop it, make it lighter or however to, you know, just going with just the vibe of how it feels for the lighting. It's all about just it's just determined on how you want the character to look. But also like me, I'm trying to make sure like these drawings aren't too taxing on myself, and just more like, hey, it's fun, it's simple. If people want to draw it, they can draw it, and it's not difficult. Because I feel like we get so caught up in just like, oh, an artist does it this way, or an artist does shades this way, and we look at it as like this is what's needed, or this is how you do it properly, and there's really no real like proper way. It's just kind of like whatever way is your way. And I feel like we lose that as like artists too. We kind of get too caught up trying to like make ourselves look like someone we appreciate rather than just you know, taking what we like from the artists that we appreciate and really making something our own, but also remembering like the fundamentals of those shades and core properties of understanding color theory and light and lighting, and just and also having fun with it. It's not just like a hey, let's just do this and hopefully I look like your sirens or piccolos or whoever, you know. It's more of like, hey, this is just your style. If you look like Jamie McKelvey, you look like Jamie McKelvey. If you look like Jen Bartel, you look like Jen Bartel. But like, that's them and that's their art. But like, what are you? Who are you as the artist? You know, and that's how I feel when it comes to drawing stuff too. And that's how you get people to like your stuff too. You know, you can look like somebody, but what is you, man? And I always have to tell that to my artists. Okay, so I have my shades here. I feel like they're okay. They're good. It's quick shades. It's cute. It's good enough for me. What I'm gonna do here is now I can go into, I can make a new layer. This will be my light, my highlight, my lights. Or not shade, this will be my lights. And there's two ways of going about with lights. I could either make it crazy highlights, but lately I've been trying to stay away from using white so much for the highlights. So I'm thinking about using another color. Maybe use like a pink on top or something like that. Let's see pink, because I just need it for the highlights and I can always blend it. It looks okay. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of it. Okay, so we need something a little bit different. Why don't we go with more of a, why don't I want to go with like a green, bright green, greenish highlight? We could do that. Like that. And then we can put it on the nose. Like that. Yeah, I'm liking that. We can do that. It's a good reflection. Like that. Get on his eye here so you can kind of see it. And this is all just like reflected light in a way of like how I try to color shades. You try to think of like, okay, colors are still bouncing off a character, even if like they're in shadow or something like that. You want it to still be like, because light isn't just like one direction. Light is every direction. Like even when you look at my face on this screen, and that's what I love about like when I talk about like even with artists, when it's like when people, I hear artists that hate like painting, or not, I wouldn't say hate, but don't have fun painting black people. What I love about it, about painting like myself or other black people, is that you can kind of get a read of all the shades compared to someone that's light skin. Yeah, you have all this dark parts of us, but then you have these harsh highlights on us, like here and here. And then I got some reflected light here, and then my nose has it, and then my chin and my lips have it. And that's what makes it so fun when you're doing this stuff, because we have these like parts of our face that like have these harsher beams of light that shine really bright on us, and it makes it fun when you're painting this. And that's what I like try to keep in mind even when I'm painting my own characters who happen to be like brown or any type of complexion. You kind of have to keep in mind of like those colors, that these colors that might be reflecting off them, and not just like ignoring what's here, you know. And then from there I'm just going to make adjustments eventually, but I want to get like this whole body part here. So like I'm going to get here, and I'm going to like go through this part, kind of get this reflection, and have it just kind of go down his arm, like, you know, like little reflects, not like immediately down his arm, but like kind of just have little beams of light. Like you expect it to kind of reflect off his body, and then even his muscle, like his muscle might get something here and like lower part, and then it might be a little bit brighter here. You might get part of his thumb and his fingers, little reflected light there. You might get some on the side of his apron, where the apron, you can't really see it, but it's something that's there for the apron. And maybe part of his shirt, just to kind of add some depth to it. maybe like his back part of a sock, something here, like that. And to me, that's just simple stuff. It's just simple. I'm not gonna do like his stuff because, like I said, I want it to be flat still, um, just with the design choice. But this is what you can do, and then from here you can kind of make adjustments. You can either go soft light, hard light. You can even go like what did I do? What did I hit? You don't need that. You can go like overlay if you want, if you really want that like contrast of something there. Um, the sky's the limit with the overlays or whatever, but I'm gonna keep it normal just for now because I feel like I'm liking this tint and I don't want it to be like anything too like hindering of it. And from this point, I can kind of just shade it. I can kind of just blend it in, blend it in on parts of them, so that at least it's there on his body. So you get those renders there. Like here, I can kind of render it a little bit. I can render that a little bit. I can just kind of, you just try to keep it like nice and simple and readable. And it is like an understanding of how like light bounces off and how it jumps off. And it might be a little off, but this is just how I want it to look. It's not anything too difficult. It's readable. And it's something where like anyone could look at it and be like, oh, this is off, this lighting's terrible, whatever. Yeah. But it's me just kind of just showing like this is what I think how the light's reflecting. And I'm trying to keep it close to that nature, what I think is doing. I could always go back and make adjustments anyway. So I'm not expecting it to be perfect on the first try. I'm just thinking like, oh, this is what it might look like. And it's just me making sure like the stuff is really soft when erased. So at least I kind of keep it in the nature of like of that like reflection or that light bouncing off or whatever you call it. And it's just me kind of making sure that it's nice and erased. It's not like you're hard erasing it. You're making sure that it's kind of, it's getting some level of dimension and some level of saturation. So then at least when you're looking at it, it kind of gives you this extra layer of depth. You know, you're getting this layer of depth out of nowhere just from the shade that you wouldn't have gotten before. And that's all the difference, you know. And from here, I could drop it if I want to, just drop it a little bit. But this is what makes it fun. I'm kind of going crazy with this, but like shading to me is just like it's a fun sport. So like, see, look at that. You see the difference? It's not perfect, but it's enough to kind of give you some level of depth, and you can always kind of just keep blending and fixing and blending and fixing and doing more fixes and blending without doing too much or overlays or thinking you have to start over. And I feel like that's always the worry is when people shade or when we shade is like we're too absolute and we're not about like trying to just make fixes or adjustments or see how it works. Or if you really hate this, you start over and do it again. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time. I'm kind of just going with what I feel works, and I'm kind of liking it. You know, it's different. It works. It fits his character. It fits his nature. I'm liking it. So from here, I can kind of do multiple things. I like to do an outline with the character. So we have this blue here already. So we're gonna just stick to the nature of his blue. So like, let's go back to his sheets. We're gonna use that same green. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go here. Let's do lights 2. And what I'm gonna do here is like, it's just more of like a stylistic choice of shading stuff. It's not like you have to do it. It's just something I like doing. So I can do it that way. It's more stylistic. And it fits my aesthetic of how these characters look from the girls. And you don't have to do it. It's just something that I'm doing for right now. And I feel like this fits the aesthetic. It just adds a little bit of emphasis to it. And it's not perfect. It's just something that's just like, hey, it adds something. And like this, I can always go on top of the outline. So like I could put this on top actually. So I can put this on top of the outline. No, not on top of the outline. Legitimately on top of the outline. So this, I'll have to do it this way. I'll have to do light 2. And then I'll have to do another one on top light pants. So then it's the pants get some type of like reflection here. And what I can do is I can drop this, not these, not this, not this. I can drop it to 90, I think. But these colors here, so then I can see where that goes. So I can put this leg thing right there. I really want to go there. And then I could kind of put one here. And since we kind of have like a little bit of like a reflection here, we'll do it there. If I can get it right. Boom. Like that. So where it's a little something. It's not anything like crazy amazing, but it's something that's just like stylistically, I just feel like that would work. And then I can kind of just bring the color back, and there we go. I can even like drop the color a little bit and then put one like right here to indicate that like that's where his knee is. So when like you look at the colors or whatever, you know right away like, oh, okay, so that's his knee. Hold up. So like, let me go back here. And I can kind of keep it dark too, so it's there, but it's not enough to like, for you to be like, oh my God. And it's just simple stuff like that. Boom. All right. So I feel like that works altogether. It's not perfect. Hold on, I gotta go back and see what I did. Okay, so that's the colors. I can go back to the shade here and I can kind of brighten that a little bit. There you go, like that. Perfect. I can go to those lights, darken that, just erase that a little bit. And at least it kind of just gives this level of, or like the sense of depth without it being too much. Even the dead, I can drop it to like 75%. And you still get like a sense of depth with him. Maybe 80. So I'm gonna save that. Now this is my favorite part. I'm not gonna think of shades for this, but this is just another stylistic choice I love to do is the hair. Hair is one of those things I remember when doing Monster High stuff I loved doing when it came to drawing like Gulia and all those other characters, all like Frankie and stuff. Hair shades. Just depending on my mood, how I do hair shades. My hair is kind of like a reddish brown. Um, but like I want to like kind of just add variety to it because I know my hair usually how it goes. It goes from being like darkish brown to then it's like a really red brown on the tips. But like in a drawing form, it just doesn't look as good. It feels like my hair is too much of a silhouette. And then you see the tips, which is nice, but aesthetically, it just feels a little off, in my opinion. So what I try to do is I try to make the hair more of a silhouette still, but I try to add the inner details of that hair without it feeling too much. So like here, I already got the dad's hair set up like this. So I usually try to have it like the back bun in a different layer, so at least I know what his hair is or like his headline is, and I can always change the style or something like that. So what I'm gonna do here is I got the hair shade here, and what I'm gonna do is like since he kind of has his hair in like a bun, I'm just gonna add like bun reflection stuff like that to like show that his hair is kind of being pulled on. And like this is just like a lasso tool where you just try to make like jagged lines to make it look like it's being pulled. And it doesn't have to be this way you do it. You could do it different ways, whatever feels the appeal. But I like doing it this way because it reduces time, but you still get the detail of understanding that, oh, this is his hair and it's being pulled back and it looks sleek or it looks clean in a way. And then when you see it, now you can tell that like this part of his hair is the hairline, and then like or like his headline with the bun, like his hair in a bun, and then the buns in the back. It's kind of one of those weird techniques that I've been doing a lot, where it's still kind of technically silhouetting it, but then you're adding more details on top of the silhouette to then add depth rather than trying to like draw every hair strand. Like I know some artists like my friend Micah does it. She like draws amazing stuff, and like her hair, she draws like she colors it in, but then draws little hair details. Jen Bartel, I noticed, does like the hair details like really crazy. But then there's other artists like Art Germ I have here. He does stuff where you can tell that it's like he draws his hair in like different fashions, but you can kind of tell that it's like in a silhouette, and then it's just great. Like there's like either an outline or some type of line work or gradient that adds volume to the hair. I thought I had another drawing. I have all my art on this wall right here that I was willing to grab, but it's just kind of just a style, like a stylistic choice I love doing when I draw like characters with hair, and it reduces time where you're not so focused on just trying to make sure every strand looks perfect. It's something where you look at it and you know right away that the hair looks like hair without it being like, oh, why does it look off, or why does it look weird, or why does it look like a noodle head, you know? So like for this curly hair is always kind of crazy because my curly hair kind of has like this, like I try to make it similar to mine where my curly hair is kind of like a clump. It's clumpy and it's not just like waves, it's not wavy, it's kind of just it's very like intertangled, and some parts seem dreaded, and it looks like a sea anemone in a way. That's kind of what I try to use my hair as a reference when doing curly hair, where a lot of people draw curly hair kind of in the same aesthetic, yet black people hair is very different, and everybody's hair is kind of in these different grades where it's like, what is it, like 1A to 4C and stuff like that, or 3C and all that stuff. I don't know all the hair details, but there's just different types of hair and textures and looks to hair. I even have books on hair down here. Like this is hella old, but like I have these old hairstyle books that I look at, and I try to look at all the hairstyles in here because you don't know what type of hair people have, and everybody has different types of hair where you need to have variety. Um, just understanding how coarse or how light or how fluffy the hair looks. Um, and that's just my lecture on just hair. I buy stuff for hair like all the time. Those are just my favorite books to use because there's just so much stuff, and especially with COVID kind of happening, it's kind of just a mess. But like you can kind of go crazy with this. And like, I don't even have to keep the reflections going. I can kind of just keep it one way, but I feel like I'm just gonna kind of keep going with it. And I feel like the reflections are kind of everywhere because hair is kind of weird. Hair shimmers and gets like light and like multi weight, like I wouldn't say multi ways, multifaceted ways, or in a variety of ways. Let's say variety. And hair is just one of those things where like it's just, it is how it is, man. Like I understand how hair can be like a pain, but like I'm just kind of just going crazy and just letting the hair just speak for itself. And I know the shades are a little off here because technically the shades would only be reflecting here, but this is more of just, you know, I'm thinking of volume and flatness rather than just like, oh, let's make sure that it's this. I'm kind of just like, hey, this is more of just, hey, let's make it look like hair. And he has a lot of hair. And I feel like this type of style and look to it, especially when you drop I dropped the opacity to 50%, it fools the eye and feeling like, okay, he has hair and it's kind of crazy. And you're looking at it and you can tell that his hair is kind of crazy. And to me, that's all about creating that illusion and that effect of hair. I can kind of do what my hair looks like right now with like just kind of doing this interconnection thing, or at least you see like parts of the hair is kind of, the tips are kind of conjoined, so you kind of get this volume look to it, like it's all connected, you know. But that's just me with hair. And I feel like hair is kind of just one of those things where like if you just have fun coloring and keep practicing, you'll just get it down. But yeah, like that was pretty much an hour of my time right there, from like the colors to the shades. I think that's almost like 30 minutes for each things. And usually that's kind of how I do it. I do it faster when it's not me explaining stuff. Um, but I feel like this is kind of the stuff I like. I just like doing. I love doing this. And to me, I don't ever make enough videos that show me just working on stuff and me just talking about it. So you guys get something today. Altogether, I think this looks okay. This looks good. This looks passable. This looks great enough for the character sheet. I think he has a circle here. I don't remember. I have to double check. Let me look. I'm kind of in this weird realm with his apron right now. I kind of want to add like a circle to it or whatever, but I think that's just going to be more of like, once I kind of get his stylistic, like his full thing down, I'll know what to do with it. Yeah, because this is his other design. I think I did this drawing last year. And I'm kind of just been like improving it as I go. The more I draw on, the more I understand how this character should look, I feel. And I feel this is like the more I feel this design itself is like the best one so far. Let me give him a little like twinkle effect, because he's kind of a magic boy. I can do it that way. Let's see. I think you can kind of see it. Let's do it like this. Yeah, like that. Gives him a more like, hello, this is me kind of look to it. I'm not going to put it on the outline there though. Let's just put it on the top pants layer, so it gives him some like type of like personality with it. Even though technically I think the sparkle should be purple. Let's see if we can do that. I'm going to go back. Let's see one more time. I think it's supposed to be like purple. Yeah, that's it. Boom. I like that better. Better reflection to it. Blends better. Okay, yeah, that's it. Boom. And Silas is done. I can save that to the production file. I will probably export him. Let me make a folder for him. This will be Silas final. final design for his character sheet, because I mean this whole thing's a character sheet, and I'm just going hard. I was supposed to get it done last week, but I just got so busy. But so far, I have my sketch, and I take the palettes that I have. I had his head sketch, which is just like the colors I may use for his head, just showing like basic reflections and hairstyle. And I have different heads for him. And then I have this old sketch, which is kind of just another sketch of like, okay, this is what he possibly might look like with the colors. And then now that I did like a final one, this is more of like, this is now true to his essence of like what I want that like style to represent. So yeah, it's been fun doing this, and I can't wait to, culminate this along with, I think I might do one more drawing just to show like the full sheet of what I have for him. But I'm really trying to make sure that he looks great. And then when I draw the daughters and all the other characters, they all have their own character sheets for reference. And yeah, we can get making this comic. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this video here. It's been fun. I'm just practicing stuff. I'm trying to figure out what to do with the channel. I think I need to just talk more about art stuff, and me trying to be an art teacher. I'm getting my degree in the next year. I feel like if I kind of make little recordings of me drawing and just talk about it, or even just showing my like my ability or what I'm doing, I feel that'll be more helpful, not only for like, just people that just want to see me color, but also just like, possibly future jobs. And it maybe makes me better at just teaching art. I kind of want to be an art teacher, whether it's in the university or, school level, K-12, but we'll figure it out. And hopefully I'll do more videos like this. So until then, I hope y'all have a blessed time, wonderful time, and I will see y'all next time. Bye-bye now.